when I met the devotees, they invited me to the Sunday feast in Sydney, because they didn't have a temple in Brisbane, they were just travelling. So then I went to the temple. I went north first, and then on my way back, I dropped in Sydney, because I was on my way home. I lived in South Australia, Mount Gambier, and I was on my way home, and I was planning on, finishing my apprenticeship and marrying my childhood sweetheart. I thought, I'd seen enough of Australia, I've seen enough, and I just want to go back and become settled now. So when I went to the Sunday feast, I saw the deities, and I had the prasadam, and I stayed there for a week, at least a week. And I decided, well, I really should stay here. And the devotees were telling me, you should stay. You're a devotee, you should stay. So I said, okay, I'm going to go home, tell my parents, and then I'm going to come back. And they said, oh, no, you shouldn't leave. You should stay. I said, look, I have to say goodbye to my mother, because this is a long-term, commitment. So I went back, and my mother said to me, she said, well, my mother's a very strict Catholic. She would chant rosaries 2 hours a day, and same with my grandparents. So I came from that sort of background. And so she said, look, I want to read some of your books. I want to see what you're actually doing. I said, fine. I mean, my father, he thought I was stupid. But my mother, she wanted to know what I was doing. So I said, okay. So when I went back, I posted her some books, and then she read the books, and she wrote me a letter, and she said, I'm very happy that you're following religious principles, and I hope and pray that one day you'll come back to the Catholic Church. So that was great. Anyway, I had my mother's blessings, basically. So I joined the temple there, and then it was about a year. Well, no, it was only 6 months later, because I joined in 1970, I think. And Prabhupada came in 71 to the Sydney Temple in Glebe. And so, we were painting and decorating the temple for Prabhupada. We basically revamped the whole temple, repainted it and fixed this up, and and so there was still some work to be done. So they asked me and I think 2 other devotees, can you please stay back and finish that off? We're going to pick up Prabhupada, right? And I thought, oh, okay. So I did that, and then I was at the front of the house, and I think I was painting, and then Prabhupada came through the gate, because there was a fence, bushes, so you couldn't see actually the footpath. So all of a sudden the gate opened, and Prabhupada was walking through, and I turned around and I saw Prabhupada. So I paid my obeisance immediately, but what struck me was how effulgent Prabhupada looked. He looked like there was a sun inside Prabhupada. And I've never experienced that before. And but when I first saw Prabhupada, it was like, it was like my father, my grandfather, my king, my everything, all at once there, walking up the pathway towards the front door. So then Prabhupada came to the asana, and he gave a lecture, a talk about Krishna consciousness, which was fairly basic. And there was one man in the audience, and he said, because like we were reading Prabhupada's books, and almost every page Prabhupada was bashing Mayavadis. And so we thought Mayavadis were a joke. They're stupid people and they're a joke. This was our attitude that developed, and this came from reading Prabhupada's books. So one of the people that came, he wasn't a devotee, and it was the first time that we'd seen him at the temple, but he came to see Prabhupada. And so he said to Prabhupada, he was saying how it's all one, and Prabhupada said something, I can't remember what it was, but he found something objectionable to that. So he said, he said basically we are all one, and he was trying to discredit the personal aspect that Prabhupada was giving of God. And we all burst out laughing. You know, the whole temple, we just burst out, Mayavadi, a real live one, right here. And then Prabhupada told us, no, you know. And so then Prabhupada explained to him about the personal aspect of God. And he was happy with that. And then one of my godbrothers, he ran into him some years ago. This is a long time after Prabhupada left. And he was telling my godbrother what fond memories he had of Prabhupada, and how Prabhupada was so affectionate in his dealings with him, and he always remembers that, you know. So, you know, Prabhupada melted his heart, even though he's a Mayavadi. So then Prabhupada gave initiations, Harinam initiations, and so I wanted to take Harinam. So the temple president said, yeah, okay, you can take Harinam. So we're all sitting there. The women were on the left side of Prabhupada, and the men were on the right side, and we're at the back. I mean, that temple, it was a regular Sydney house, a wooden house, and it had a huge backyard. It would have been probably half an acre, or sorry, not half. Maybe the whole block would be close to a quarter of an acre. And so we had this huge area at the back, so we did a yagya there. And the temple, we all had temple names. And so Prabhupada had a list of all the names of the devotees. And he had the temple name of each devotee. So when a devotee would come up to get his initiation, Prabhupada would give him, generally would give him that temple name. And so one after the other, and then I was at the end. I thought I'd be, you know, but no, then they went on to the women, and the women were taking initiation. And I was thinking, you know, I mustn't be on the list. If I was on the list, Prabhupada would have called me by now, because the women are going. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to take this into my own hands. And I decided, okay, when the last woman goes up for initiation, I will stand up and I will ask Prabhupada for initiation. So then the last woman came up, and so I stood up, and Prabhupada looked at me, and it's as if he knew, you know, what happened and that I wanted initiation. So he said, come. So he came over to me, and the temple president at the time, it was a GBC actually. He had the list. What was the GBC's name now? He just died some time ago. So anyway, he said, because my temple name was Sukadev. So he said, this is Sukadev. And Prabhupada said, no, this is Sahadeva. So he gave me initiation, gave me that name, Sahadeva, at that time. And so I was so happy to get initiation, but I was so stressed. I was that I'm not going to get initiation. I thought, no, this can't happen. I have to take initiation. Because I accepted Prabhupada as my guru, like from within my heart. Really the first time I ever saw Prabhupada, that was it. And so I had to take initiation, and I didn't want to wait either. So I was lucky, and Prabhupada accepted me as his disciple and gave me that name, so I was so happy. In Melbourne, when Prabhupada was there in, was it 73, 74? I used to go on the morning walks with Prabhupada. And so one morning walk, I'd just been, this is after Chaitanya Charitamrita had been published. So I can't remember what year that was. But I remember reading when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would walk, then there was huge holes in the ground where his foot would step. So, because the devotees were getting dust from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. So I thought, well, you know, I should get some dust from Prabhupada's feet. So I thought, okay. So, and it had been sort of raining or drizzling during the night, so the grass that we were walking on was a little moist, so you could see the foot imprints of the devotees as they were walking. And I didn't even have a bag with me, you know, I was so disorganized. But I thought, I'm going to grab a handful. So I got, Deepak was on the right, and the GBC, what's his name? He was on the left, and I got right behind Prabhupada, and I leant down, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take a handful from this step as Prabhupada's foot was coming up. And as Prabhupada's foot came up, there's no imprint. And I thought, huh? No imprint? And then I looked at both sides. I could see Deepak's and the GBC's imprint really clearly in the mud. And I thought, well, something wrong here, right? I'll try again. So again, Prabhupada's foot lifted up, and there's no imprint. Prabhupada was not leaving an imprint. And I was looking step after step. Prabhupada was not leaving an imprint. So I thought, well, I aborted that mission. I thought, well, you know, should I or shouldn't I? I thought, nah. So I didn't do that. And then, one offering, because every year, you know, Prabhupada's Vyasa Puj, there'd be a book that would come out from offering from devotees. So there was one devotee lady in the States. She had a similar experience on a morning walk going in long grass. She didn't see Prabhupada's footprint on the grass. Because, you know, when you step on the grass, temporarily the grass will go down. It didn't go down. So that backed, you know, I wasn't having a flashback on drugs or anything. It was real, you know, because I was a little confused. Shrutakirti, he was Prabhupada's servant at the time. And so he wanted to, he was really busy, and he wanted some extra time. So he asked me, well, he asked the temple president, you know, is there anyone that can cook? And they said, oh, Sahadeva, he's good. So he asked me, I said, yeah, I'd love to cook for Prabhupada. So Prabhupada had this 3 or 4 tier, it's like a tiffin. And hang on, it was a 1, 2, no, it was a 4 tier. And the bottom tier was dal. And then it had, the next tiffin that fitted on that had holes in it, so that the steam could come through from the dal. And we put rice in there. And then the one on top of that also had holes. We had vegetables, and then one on top of that, some other vegetables. So I was making 2 sabjis, 1 rice, and the dal. And so Shrutakirti, he showed me how to do that. And it was really simple, quick. And Prabhupada was eating very simply at that time. And I think it's because of Prabhupada's health at the time. And so he showed me how to make the chaunts for the dal. He showed me how to make the chaunts for the 2 separate chaunts for 2 separate sabjis. So he showed me how to do that. So I would do that every morning for Prabhupada's lunch. And you know, one thing I should mention, like in Melbourne, Prabhupada was on the top floor, and his bedroom was there. And so why I can't remember the GBC's name. I mean, you know, but anyway, the GBC had appointed, because the stairs go up. There's a landing, and then stairs go up again to another landing, which you enter Prabhupada's room. And so he put one devotee at the bottom, one devotee at the landing, and one devotee at the front of Prabhupada's bedroom door. There's no way anyone could get in to see Prabhupada, you know. No, you couldn't get there. So I thought, well, you know, this is my chance, you know. I'll be able to get into Prabhupada's room. Same thing with me. You know? I actually got to the landing just outside Prabhupada's door. And so Shrutakirti, he would come out and bring it in. But I saw Prabhupada, he was right through the doorway, and I paid my obeisances. And just Prabhupada's mood, it was like, he was like a loving, affectionate father that gave, and really that love that Prabhupada had was millions of times greater than parents or friends or children or anyone else in this world. It's incomparable, that love and affection. And it was by that love and affection that I felt from Prabhupada that basically centered me in Krishna consciousness for my whole life. Even though I might not have been following properly at different times in my life, but still, I always knew I'm a devotee, I'm a disciple of Prabhupada, and I will always try and follow. And that was because of that love and affection that Prabhupada showed to me. And also to Shrutakirti and other of his disciples, I saw how affectionate Prabhupada was. And I think that affection, like a pure devotee, he can do anything. So what he can reveal to one person, he can contain from another person, right? But Prabhupada, especially, he showed me that love and affection that he had, and I experienced that when I was cooking for Prabhupada. I was doing personal service, and I remember while I was doing that personal service, I was doing service for Prabhupada anyway, within the temple as a pujari from 4 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and I did that for 16 years within ISKCON, and so I was already serving Prabhupada. And so from that service I was enlivened. And when I would attend a Bhagavatam class, a Bhagavad-gita class, or I would read Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavatam or any of Prabhupada's books, I was so riveted and I was so inspired and it was so enthusing. And I know that was because I was serving Prabhupada. If I wasn't, and I saw so many devotees would come, get initiated, they wouldn't join the temple, and they're living outside. They didn't have the same impetus, the same momentum, the same enthusiasm, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them. But those who served Prabhupada genuinely and gave their heart to Prabhupada and served him, you could see they were blessed by Prabhupada in different ways. There's one of my god sisters, she's not following now, but anytime she leads a kirtan, there's tears flowing from her eyes. And her kirtans are so sweet, like from Braj. I cooked for Prabhupada for a week. It was the same lunch every day. I was cooking the dal, rice and 2 sabjis. And on the Ekadasi, Prabhupada asked for something special. He wanted these potato and tapioca rissoles. And so Shrutakirti gave me the recipe. He said, you just boil potatoes, and mash them, and while they're still hot, mash them. While they're still hot, you put the tapioca seeds and mix them with the hot mashed potatoes, and they'll swell. And then you roll them in little patties and deep fry them. And so Prabhupada had that. That was Prabhupada's, one of the things that Prabhupada had for Ekadasi. But I heard when Prabhupada was a kid, Prabhupada was called Kachuri Mukha, which is kachuri face, because Prabhupada loved kachuris. And kachuris are very difficult to digest. But Prabhupada could eat a lot of them. And I remember looking at Prabhupada's horoscope once, and Prabhupada had, I can't remember what he had in the 6th house, but Prabhupada had very strong digestion, so he was able to eat a lot of kachuris. Well, we were, one incident, this is in Melbourne again, in Prabhupada's room. He had, what did he have? There was a lawyer, there was 3 people. There was a lawyer, I think there was some government official, someone else. And so I was there in the room. I don't know how I got in there, but I got in there somehow or another. And so Prabhupada's talking. Madhavisa, he's the GBC. So Madhavisa was there. and there was a few other leading devotees that were in the room. And so Prabhupada was talking to them, and we used to, we used to make garlands for the deities every morning. So we weren't growing flowers, and we didn't have a lot of money, so we weren't buying flowers. So we used to go and steal flowers from the botanical gardens in Melbourne. And so we ended up getting caught, and it wasn't that long before that. It's just some months before that, and it was in the newspapers, and so the lawyer, he was working for us anyway, but he mentioned something about, I mean, there was a conversation going backwards and forwards, and sort of light conversation, and then that lawyer brought that up, right? And so then Prabhupada, not that Prabhupada got angry, but he got really serious at that point. And then he was explaining, how everything belongs to Krishna, and that a devotee who's serving Krishna is in the right place. And I can't remember whether Prabhupada quoted that verse, where even if a devotee does something wrong, he's still rightly situated. I'm not sure about that. But then Prabhupada was explaining what the purpose of life is to, to develop Krishna Prem, to become free from bodily identification, and everything else in this world is a waste of time. Whatever money you have, whatever success you have in this world, it's just a total waste of time. So that lawyer was implying that devotees did something wrong. And so Prabhupada was saying, you're wasting your life. And I've seen Prabhupada protect these devotees before. Prabhupada loved his devotees so much. And any little even hint at a criticism to his devotees, Prabhupada became like a lion. So, that was something that really, really impressed me about Prabhupada, how much he loved his disciples, and that was nice. Je anilo